The battlefield was silent after the storm of war. Smoke drifted over broken machines, shattered weapons, and the ruins of a human outpost. Bodies lay where they had fallen, twisted metal and alien fires still burning. Among the ruins, one soldier still breathed. His name was Daniel. He was young, but his face was already marked with scars of too many battles. Blood stained his green uniform, and his chest rose and fell with painful effort. He had fought until the last bullet, until his strength was gone. Now he lay on the cold ground, waiting for death. The sky above was black with the shadow of alien ships. Earth had been at war for many years, and humanity was losing. For Daniel, this was the end. Or so he thought. A sound broke the silence. Footsteps, soft but steady, echoed through the ruined base. Daniel forced his eyes open. Out of the smoke came a figure, tall and strange. At first he thought it was another enemy soldier come to finish him, but it was not. She was a woman, but not like any woman he had ever seen. Her skin was pale with a faint glow, like moonlight. Her hair was silver, falling in twin streams over her shoulders. Her eyes shone blue, brighter than the burning fires around them. She moved with a grace that was not human, and yet she knelt beside him, her hand brushing the blood from his arm. Her touch was cold, but not cruel. Daniel tried to speak, but only coughed. The woman tilted her head, studying him like a scientist studying a rare creature. Then she reached into her cloak and pulled out a glass bottle. The liquid inside was bright purple, glowing as if alive. It pulsed like a heart, sending light across her pale fingers. Her voice was soft but carried power. "If you drink this," she said, "you will never be human again." Daniel stared at her, barely able to move. Her words cut through the smoke, sharper than any blade. Never be human again. What did she mean? The woman leaned closer. "You are dying," she whispered. "Your body cannot survive much longer." Her glowing eyes locked on his. "This drink will heal you. It will give you strength. It will give you life." She paused, her voice colder. "But it will take something from you. It will change what you are, forever." Daniel felt the weight of her words. The war had taken everything already. His friends, his home, his future. What more could he lose? His chest burned with pain, his vision blurred. He was standing on the edge of life and death. And now a stranger from the enemy's world was offering him a way back. The bottle glowed between them. It seemed alive, whispering promises of power. Daniel thought of his fallen squad. He thought of Earth, broken and bleeding like him. He thought of how helpless humanity was against the alien armies. Maybe this was his only chance. Maybe this was the only way. But the woman's words echoed again. "If you drink this, you will never be human again." There was no promise of return, no way back to who he was. If he accepted, his life would never belong only to him. He would belong to something else. Something alien. Daniel tried to lift his arm, weak and trembling. The woman's gaze grew sharper, as if she was warning him. "You do not understand," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "You may live, but you will never be the same." Her eyes flickered with something he could not read, fear or sorrow. She was not lying. He could feel it. The battlefield around them was quiet, but in the distance, alien machines were moving closer. Daniel could hear their metallic steps echoing like drums of death. Time was running out. He had only one choice: die as a human, or live as something else. He looked into the woman's glowing eyes. For a moment, he saw a reflection of himself, broken and weak. But behind it, he saw something more, a chance to fight again, a chance to rise, even if the cost was his humanity. The woman lifted the bottle higher. Its purple glow painted her pale face, making her look like an angel from another world, or perhaps a demon. Daniel could not tell. Her voice lowered to a whisper, almost like a prayer. "Choose now," she said, "life or death." Daniel closed his eyes. The sound of alien machines grew louder. His heart pounded in his chest. For a moment, he remembered his childhood, his family, the warm days before the war. and then he remembered their destruction. He opened his eyes again, filled with fire. Slowly, painfully, he reached for the bottle. The woman's lips parted, as if to stop him, but Daniel's hand touched the glowing glass. He pulled it close. Her warning echoed again in his mind. Never human again, and yet, his fear was gone. He raised the bottle, his eyes locked on hers, and with a broken smile, he whispered, "I am not afraid." The bottle touched Daniel's lips. The liquid poured into his mouth, burning like fire and ice at the same time. It spread through his body faster than blood, filling every vein with light. Daniel gasped, his eyes wide, as the world around him exploded in brightness. The woman did not move. She only watched, her glowing eyes fixed on him. She looked like someone who had seen this before, someone who knew the pain and the price. Her hand hovered close, as if ready to stop him, but she did not. It was too late. Daniel's body arched as if struck by lightning. The liquid spread inside him, tearing apart weakness, breaking bones, then rebuilding them stronger. His chest rose in violent heaves, and he screamed, a raw sound that echoed through the ruins. The ground beneath him trembled, as if the earth itself could feel his change. Memories flashed before him like broken glass. He saw his mother smiling. When he was a boy, he saw the day he joined the army, proud and ready. He saw his friends dying, one after another. He saw the alien fire raining down on his city, and then he saw nothing but darkness. In that darkness, something spoke, not in words, but in feeling. It was ancient, powerful, and alien. It whispered of strength, of immortality, of endless war. Daniel felt it crawl inside his mind, wrapping around his thoughts like chains, but he did not fight it. Instead, he let it come. When his eyes opened again, they glowed faintly with the same purple as the liquid. The pain was still there, but it was different now. It was not weakness, it was power. He rose slowly, his wounds closing as if time itself obeyed him. His muscles pulsed with new life. His heartbeat thundered like a war drum. The woman stepped back, her face unreadable. "You should not have done this," she whispered. Her voice was not angry, but heavy, like sorrow. Daniel looked at her, breathing hard. "What have you given me?" he asked, his voice deeper. Her reply was simple, a choice. The sound of alien machines grew louder in the distance. Metallic legs striking the ground, weapons powering up. Daniel clenched his fists, and for the first time he noticed sparks of energy flashing across his skin. He no longer felt fear. The battlefield no longer seemed hopeless. Instead, it felt like an invitation. The woman's eyes narrowed. "You do not understand," she said. "You are not human anymore, not fully." Daniel shook his head. "I don't care," he said, his voice firm. "I just want to fight. I want to protect my world." She lowered her gaze, as if she had heard those words long ago, from someone else who had made the same mistake. The machines came into view, tall, insect-like alien walkers with glowing weapons. They scanned the ruins, searching for survivors. One of them turned, its sensor locking on Daniel. A sharp beam of red light struck across his chest. The woman gasped, but Daniel only stood still. The beam burned his uniform but left his skin untouched. When the smoke cleared, he was still there, glowing, alive, unbroken. Something inside him shifted. He felt his body hum with energy, his muscles tightening, his vision sharpening. He could hear the machines moving, every gear, every spark of power. He could feel the ground shake with their steps, and, for the first time in his life, he felt stronger than the enemy. Daniel launched forward, faster than he thought possible. The ground cracked beneath his feet as he leaped, slamming into the first machine. His fists, glowing with purple energy, tore through the alien metal like it was paper. The machine fell, burning, before it could fire again. The woman watched in silence. Her warning still hung in the air. Never human again. But Daniel did not stop. He struck the next machine, pulling its weapon free and hurling it into another. His laughter echoed through the battlefield, not out of joy, but out of freedom. He was no longer weak, no longer helpless, when the last machine fell. Daniel stood in the center of the ruins, chest heaving, his eyes glowing with power. The battlefield was silent again, but now it was different. Now, it felt like the silence after a storm that had only just begun. The woman stepped closer. "You have chosen your path," she said quietly. Daniel turned, his expression fierce. "I chose to live," he replied. Her gaze was cold but sad. "No," she said. "You chose to leave behind your humanity." Daniel felt the words cut into him. He looked at his hands, glowing with unnatural power. He thought of his family, his friends, the faces of those who once trusted him. Would they even recognize him now? Would they call him savior or monster? He pushed the thought away, clenching his fists. "This war is not over," he said, "and I will not stop until it is." The woman looked up at the sky, where alien ships still hovered like dark gods. Her eyes glowed brighter, and for a moment, her face seemed almost human, almost kind. "Then you are ready," she whispered. "Ready for what?" Daniel asked. Her answer was soft, but it carried the weight of worlds. For the real war. Daniel stood in the ruins, his chest rising and falling, his hands glowing faint purple. The broken machines burned around him, smoke twisting into the night sky. The silence after battle felt strange, heavy, as if the world itself was watching. But inside Daniel, there was no silence, only a storm. He could feel his heartbeat pounding, but it was no longer the same rhythm. It was faster, stronger, almost mechanical. Each beat sent waves of energy rushing through his veins. His muscles trembled with power that begged to be released, and with every second, his body was changing. The woman's glowing eyes never left him. She watched as if she already knew what was happening. Her silver hair moved softly in the breeze, her face calm but filled with sorrow. "You feel it, don't you?" she said quietly. Daniel turned, sweat dripping down his brow. "I feel everything," he whispered, his voice shaking. His eyes burned with purple fire, his vision sharp enough to see every crack in the broken metal, every spark of energy. From the fallen machines, at first he thought the transformation was only strength, but then he noticed more. The air around him seemed alive. He could hear the hum of alien weapons, even though they were far away. He could sense the woman's heartbeat, steady but not human. And when he looked at the glowing bottles in her satchel, he could feel the power inside them, as if his blood called to it. Daniel staggered, gripping his head. Memories and images poured into him, but they were not his own. He saw alien cities under strange suns. He saw armies marching on worlds that were not Earth. He saw stars burning, collapsing, dying, and through it all, he heard whispers. Ancient voices speaking in a language he did not know, but somehow, he understood. The woman stepped closer, her tone sharp. "Control it," she commanded, "or it will consume you." Daniel fell to his knees, his hands pressed into the ground. The earth beneath him cracked as his strength poured out uncontrolled. "I can't," he gasped. "It's too much." The purple glow spread across his body, veins shining like rivers of fire under his skin. He felt both alive and dying at the same time. The woman knelt before him, her cold hand on his shoulder. "You wanted this," she said. "You chose it. Now you must bear it." Her words cut deeper than the power inside him. Daniel lifted his head, his teeth clenched. "I won't let it control me," he growled. The storm inside him raged, but slowly, he forced his breathing steady, one breath at a time. He bent the power to his will. His glowing veins dimmed, his shaking slowed. For a moment, he felt almost human again, but only almost. He rose to his feet, his body taller, stronger, harder. His wounds had vanished completely, even the scars. The uniform that once fit him now hung loose, his muscles rebuilt in unnatural ways. When he looked into a piece of broken metal, he saw his reflection. His eyes were no longer human, glowing with alien light. His face looked the same, yet different. Sharper, harder, It was him, but not him. The woman studied him carefully. "You are not the first to drink," she said slowly. Daniel frowned, his glowing eyes narrowing. "What do you mean?" Her gaze shifted to the burning horizon. "Long ago, others chose the same path," she whispered. "They became strong, like you, but strength always demands a price." Daniel clenched his fists, the energy crackling across his skin. "I don't care about the price," he said, "as long as I can fight." Her lips tightened, as if she had heard that answer too many times. The air shook with a deep rumble. Daniel turned, and in the distance he saw a shadow moving across the sky. It was not a machine this time, it was something alive. A giant alien beast, wings wide, eyes glowing with cruel intelligence. It had been sent to hunt survivors, to cleanse what the machines could not. Daniel felt his blood ignite. The power inside him surged at the sight of the beast. It was as if the alien drink wanted him to fight, wanted him to kill. His body leaned forward, his heart racing. For the first time, he felt hunger not for food, but for battle, and that hunger terrified him. The woman's voice was calm, but firm. "Be careful," she warned. "Your strength is not only yours, it belongs to the serum. It belongs to the ones who made it." Daniel glared at the beast as it drew closer. "I don't belong to anyone," he said, his voice like iron, but in his chest. He was not sure, because deep inside, he still heard the whispers, calling him, guiding him, tempting him. The beast roared, shaking the ruins with its cry. Daniel stepped forward, his eyes blazing, his hands sparking with purple light. The transformation was not finished, and he knew every step he took would take him further away from the man he once was. But in that moment, none of it mattered, because the war was not over, and Daniel was no longer just a soldier. He was something else, something new, something the aliens themselves might fear. The woman whispered one last warning, her voice almost lost in the thunder of the beast's wings. "You are becoming more than human," she said, "but you are also becoming less." Daniel did not answer. His body glowed brighter, his heartbeat thundered, and as the shadow of the alien beast fell over him, he made his choice again, not with words, but with fire. The alien beast descended through the smoke, its massive wings stirring ash and fire into the air. Its skin was black and metallic, like armor grown from bone. Glowing red veins ran across its body, pulsing with strange energy. Its head was narrow, its jaws filled with razor teeth that dripped with acid. The sound of its roar shook the ruins like thunder. Daniel stood firm, his body glowing with purple light. Every instinct told him to run, but something deeper told him to fight. His new blood surged with hunger, urging him to attack, to tear, to destroy. The beast's red eyes locked onto him, sensing a challenge, sensing prey. The woman stepped back, her cloak whipping in the wind. "This is the price," she whispered. "This is the beginning of your war." The beast struck first, wings snapping forward like blades. Daniel leaped aside, faster than his human body had ever allowed. The ground split where the wings slammed down, cracks racing across the stone. Daniel rolled and rose to his feet, his eyes burning. His hands sparked with violet fire, a storm inside him, waiting to be unleashed. He charged, the earth shattered beneath his step, his fists glowing as he struck the beast's chest. The blow landed with a crack that echoed through the ruins. The monster stumbled back, roaring, its armored skin dented, for the first time. Daniel saw fear in alien eyes, but it was not enough. The beast lashed out with its tail, a barbed whip of bone and metal. It struck Daniel across the side, hurling him into a broken wall. The impact shook his bones, but his body did not break. Instead, he rose again, stronger, faster. He spat blood, then smiled. Pain no longer felt like pain. It felt like fuel. The whispers inside him grew louder. They told him where the beast would move, when it would strike. It was as if another mind guided his steps. Daniel followed the whispers, his body moving like lightning. He dodged the beast's claws, slipped beneath its jaws, and slammed both fists into its throat. The alien creature screeched, choking, staggering back. Daniel pressed forward, his strikes a blur of violet sparks. Metal armor cracked. Alien blood spilled in thick black streams. The beast tried to rise, but Daniel did not stop. He struck again and again until its body shook with every blow. At last, the beast crashed to the ground, its massive form shaking the ruins. Daniel stood above it, his chest heaving, his eyes glowing like twin suns. The whispers cheered in his mind, a chorus of alien voices praising him. For a moment, he felt unstoppable. For a moment, he felt like a god. Then the woman's voice cut through the storm. "Enough," she said, her tone sharp. Daniel froze, his glowing fists raised. The beast lay broken, still breathing. The whispers urged him to finish it, to kill it, to prove his power. Daniel's hand trembled, torn between his new hunger and his old humanity. The woman stepped closer, her eyes locked on his. "This is the test," she said. "Do you control the power, or does it control you?" Daniel's breath came hard, his glowing eyes wild. He wanted to end it, to silence the whispers, but another part of him wanted to hold back, to prove he was still more than a weapon. Slowly, he lowered his hand. The beast wheezed, its eyes dimming, its body broken, but alive. The whispers screamed in rage, clawing at his mind. Daniel pressed his fists against his temples. "Get out of my head," he growled. The voices faded, but not fully. They were still there, waiting, patient. The woman nodded once. "You chose restraint," she said. "That means you are not lost. Not yet." Daniel's chest rose and fell, his body still glowing. "Not yet," he repeated quietly, unsure if he believed it. In the distance, another sound filled the air, not a beast this time, but engines. Alien ships moved across the sky, searching for survivors. The woman's gaze hardened. "They know," she said. "They can sense what you are now." Daniel clenched his fists, purple light dripping from his skin like fire. "Then let them come," he said, his voice filled with steel. The woman shook her head. "You don't understand. They will not stop now. Not until you are theirs, or destroyed." Daniel's jaw tightened. "I belong to no one," he said, "and I will not be destroyed." The woman looked at him with something like pity. Everyone who drank said those same words. She whispered, every one of them was wrong. Daniel stared at her, his glowing eyes narrowing. "What happened to them?" he asked. Her silence was the only answer, but in that silence, Daniel already knew. The serum had made him powerful. Yes, but it had also made him hunted, and his greatest enemy might not be the aliens, it might be the very power inside his blood. Above them, the alien ships grew larger in the sky. Their shadows covered the battlefield, their weapons glowing red. Daniel stood tall, his body humming with power. The woman stepped back into the shadows, her cloak swirling. "You have tasted victory," she said, "but now comes the war." Daniel tightened his fists, his eyes blazing like fire. For the first time, he did not feel fear, but deep inside, he felt something else, a question he could not answer. Was he still Daniel, the soldier of Earth? Or was he something new, something alien? The battlefield gave him no answer, only the silence of the dead, and the shadows of enemies yet to come. The alien ships passed overhead, their lights sweeping across the ruins. Daniel stood tall in the shadows, his body still glowing faint. Purple. He felt no fear, but he felt something heavier, expectation. Like the world itself was waiting for him to decide who he was. Beside him, the woman was silent, her eyes following the sky with cold intensity. Finally, Daniel spoke, his voice sharp. "You're going to tell me everything," he said. The woman's gaze lowered, her silver hair catching the glow of the burning wreckage. "There is too much to tell," she answered softly, "and not enough time." Daniel stepped closer, his eyes blazing. "You warned me before I drank," he growled. "You said I would never be human again. Now I need to know what that really means." For a long moment, she said nothing. Her expression was unreadable, caught between pity and sorrow. Then she turned and began walking toward the broken walls of the ruined base. "Follow me," she said, her voice carrying an echo of command. Daniel hesitated, but the power inside him urged him forward. With every step he took, he felt less like a man following a stranger, and more like a soldier following fate. Inside the ruins, there was a chamber still intact. Strange alien machines lined the walls. Glowing faint blue, the woman stopped at the center and placed the glowing bottle back into her satchel. Her eyes met his, sharp and unblinking. "The truth is simple," she said. "What you drank was never meant for humans." Daniel clenched his fists, the purple glow sparking across his skin. "Then why give it to me?" he asked, his voice low. "Because," she whispered, "your kind is losing this war, and sometimes survival demands a sacrifice." Her words struck him like a blade. "You mean a curse," he muttered. Her silence was the only answer he needed. She walked slowly along the chamber, her hands brushing the glowing machines. "That drink was a serum created by an ancient race," she explained. "A race far older than humans, older than even the invaders who destroy your world now." Her voice was calm, but heavy. "It was made to give power beyond limits, strength to fight the wars of gods, but it came at a cost, always a cost." Daniel's breath came hard. "What cost?" he asked. The woman's eyes met his, glowing blue against his violet. "Humanity," she said, her voice like ice. "You may look human now, you may sound human, but with every breath, every battle, the serum will change you. It will strip away the pieces of who you were, until nothing of Daniel remains." The words hit harder than any alien strike. Daniel stepped back, his heart pounding. He wanted to deny it, but he could already feel the truth in his veins. The whispers in his mind grew louder, reminding him they were always there, always waiting. He clenched his fists, shaking his head. "I don't care," he said fiercely. "If this is what it takes to win, then so be it." The woman tilted her head, her expression dark. "You sound like the others," she said quietly. Daniel's glowing eyes narrowed. "What others?" he demanded. Her voice dropped low, almost a whisper. "You are not the first soldier who chose to drink, Daniel. Many before you took the same path." Daniel froze, his chest heavy. "What happened to them?" he asked. The woman looked away, her silence long. When she finally spoke, her voice carried sorrow and warning. "They won battles. Yes, they became stronger than their enemies, stronger than their own people. But in the end, they lost themselves. They became creatures of war, weapons without hearts, and when their purpose ended, so did they." Daniel felt his throat tighten. He saw himself in her words, saw the reflection of what he might become. He wanted to reject it, to scream that he was different, but deep inside, he wondered if the serum would eventually strip away every memory, every feeling, until only the hunger for battle remained. The woman's voice softened. "Tell me, Daniel," she said, "when you struck down the beast, what did you feel?" Daniel's eyes burned. As he remembered, he saw the beast broken beneath his fists, the black blood spilling, the whispers cheering. He swallowed hard. "I felt strong," he admitted, "but also, I felt hunger." The woman nodded, her eyes closing briefly. "That hunger is not yours. It belongs to the serum, and it will grow." Daniel turned away, his fists trembling. "I don't care about hunger," he said. "I care about victory, about saving my world." The woman stepped closer, her voice cutting like a blade. "And when victory comes, Daniel, who will you be? A man who saved Earth, or a monster who no longer belongs to it?" The chamber fell silent, only the hum of alien machines filling the air. Daniel looked at his reflection again in the glowing glass. His face was his, but the eyes staring back were not. They glowed with alien fire, hungry, endless. He whispered to himself, almost afraid to hear his own words. "I will not lose myself." The woman's hand brushed his arm, cold and steady. Every one of them said the same. She whispered, and every one of them was wrong. Daniel turned, fire in his eyes. Then I will be the first who is right, he said firmly. The woman did not argue. She only watched him, her silence more haunting than words. Above them, the alien ships grew closer, their searchlights sweeping the ruins. The woman's gaze lifted, her face dark. They are coming for you, she said, and they will not stop, not until you are theirs, or destroyed. Daniel clenched his fists, the purple fire roaring brighter across his body. Let them come, he said, his voice echoing like thunder. I am not afraid, but deep inside, where the whispers waited, a question remained. Would he still be Daniel when the war was over? Or would Daniel already be gone, replaced by something alien? Something that Earth itself might fear. The night was heavy with smoke, and the sky burned with the glow of alien ships. Daniel stood at the edge of the ruined outpost, his eyes glowing violet, his hands alive with strange fire. The woman watched him in silence, her cloak stirring in the hot wind. They both knew the battle had only begun. From the distance came new sounds, not alien machines this time, but human voices. Daniel turned sharply, his heart tightening, through the dust. A group of human soldiers appeared, weapons raised, uniforms torn but familiar. They had survived, just like him. But when they saw his glowing eyes and burning hands, they froze. One soldier whispered, "What is he?" Another lifted his rifle, aiming at Daniel's chest. Daniel raised his hand in warning. "It's me," he said, his voice strong. "I'm still Daniel," but his voice carried an echo, an alien hum that made the soldiers step back. Their eyes were filled not with relief, but with fear. The woman's words echoed in his mind. "You are not human anymore." Daniel clenched his fists, fighting the whispers inside him. "I fought with you," he shouted. "I bled with you. I am one of you." But the soldiers did not lower their weapons. One of them muttered, "He's not one of us anymore." The alien ships rumbled above, their searchlights sweeping across the ruins. Daniel looked to the soldiers, then to the sky. "We don't have time for this," he said sharply. "They are coming. We need to fight together." But the captain, a scarred veteran with cold eyes, stepped forward. His rifle never wavered. "Tell me," the captain demanded, "what are you?" Daniel's breath shook, his mind flashing with memories of the serum. The pain, the transformation. "I'm human," he said. "I'm still human." The woman behind him spoke quietly, her words cutting like a knife. "No, you are something more, and something less." The soldiers stirred in unease, their eyes darting between her and Daniel. The captain's finger tightened on the trigger. "Then you are a danger," he said. Daniel felt his chest burn with anger, his new blood screaming for action. He stepped forward, his voice like thunder. "I am not your enemy. I am your only chance." The alien ships began to descend, engines roaring, weapons glowing red. The ground shook as mechanical troops dropped from the sky, their armor shining, their weapons aimed. The humans scattered for cover, firing wildly. Daniel stood in the open, his body glowing like a beacon. The first alien shots struck him, but the energy rolled off his skin like rain. The soldiers froze, watching as Daniel charged. His fists tore through the first machine, his roar shaking the battlefield. He moved like lightning, crushing metal, ripping weapons apart. The soldiers watched in awe, their fear mixing with something else, hope. The captain lowered his rifle slowly, his eyes wide. Daniel fought with fury, every strike a storm, but with each blow, the whispers in his head grew louder, cheering, urging, feeding. He felt the hunger rise again, the hunger to destroy. When the last machine fell, the battlefield was silent. Daniel stood in the center, chest heaving, glowing brighter than fire. The soldiers crawled from cover, staring at him with wide eyes. One whispered, "He saved us." Another whispered, "He's not one of us anymore." The captain stepped forward, his face torn between fear and respect. "You fight like a god," he said, "but gods do not bleed." with men. Daniel's jaw tightened, his hands trembling with fire. "I fight for Earth," he said. "That will never change." But the words felt weaker than before, because deep inside, he knew the serum was changing him with every battle. The soldiers lowered their weapons, but their eyes never softened. They stood beside him, but not with him. He could feel the wall between them. Invisible, but unbreakable. The woman walked closer, her gaze sharp. "You see now," she said quietly, "to them, you are no longer Daniel, you are a weapon." Daniel turned to her, his voice filled with anger. "Then let me be their weapon, if it saves them." She shook her head slowly, her silver hair shining in the alien light. "They will use you until they fear you too much, and then they will turn on you, just like they turned on the others." Her words sank deep into his chest, heavier than any wound. The captain finally spoke, his voice steady. "You saved us tonight. But I don't trust you," he said. "If you turn against us, I will be the one to end you." Daniel met his gaze, his glowing eyes unflinching. "Then pray I never turn," he said. The soldiers said nothing, but their silence told him everything. He was their savior, yes, but he was also their fear. Above, the alien ships regrouped, preparing their next strike. The woman whispered, "The real war is not with them, it is within you." Daniel clenched his fists, purple sparks crackling across his skin. He stood between two worlds now, human and alien, trusted by none, needed by all. And as the battlefield trembled beneath the coming storm, he knew the greatest battle would not be for Earth. It would be for his soul. The night sky was torn open by fire. Alien ships moving like shadows across the heavens. Their engines howled, their weapons glowed red, casting the ruins in a bloody light. Daniel stood among the broken machines, his body still glowing with the power inside him. Around him, the surviving soldiers reloaded their weapons, their faces pale, their eyes full of fear, but it was not only fear of the enemy, it was fear of him. The woman watched from the edge of the battlefield, her silver hair whipping in the wind. Her gaze was steady, but her silence spoke louder than words. She knew what was coming, she had seen it before. Daniel's fate was written in the glow of his eyes, in the whispers echoing through his mind. But still, he stood tall. The alien ships began their descent. Massive doors opening beneath them. From the darkness fell new enemies. Soldiers of the invaders, tall and armored, carrying weapons that hummed with alien energy. They landed in perfect lines, hundreds of them. Their movements like one living machine. The ground shook under their boots, the air filled with the sound of their war cry. The soldiers beside Daniel stepped back in horror. "We can't fight that," one whispered. "There are too many." Daniel's jaw tightened, his fists clenched. "Yes, we can," he said, his voice strong, but carrying the echo of something alien. His violet glow spread brighter, casting shadows across the ruins. The human soldiers stared at him, torn between hope and dread. Was he their savior, or the beginning of something worse? The alien army raised their weapons, their glowing eyes fixed on him. Daniel stepped forward, unafraid. Every part of his body hummed with power, his blood burning with fire. The whispers in his mind screamed for battle, urging him to strike. He wanted to resist them, but he also wanted to unleash them. The hunger inside him was too strong. The first wave of alien fire struck, beams of red cutting across the battlefield. The human soldiers ducked for cover, firing blindly, but Daniel stood in the open, the beams striking his body and rolling off like sparks against steel. He roared and charged forward. Faster than the human eye could follow, his fists exploded, with violet energy, tearing through alien armor as if it were glass. The battlefield became chaos. Daniel moved like a storm, crushing soldiers, shattering weapons, leaving trails of fire in his path. The aliens tried to regroup, but none could stand against him. The human soldiers watched in awe and horror. He was not fighting like a man anymore. He was fighting like something else, something unstoppable. When the last alien in the first wave fell, Daniel stood in silence, his chest heaving, his eyes glowing like twin suns. Black blood dripped from his fists, pooling round his feet. The whispers cheered inside him. Louder than ever, he trembled. Not from weakness, but from the hunger growing in his veins. It terrified him, and yet it thrilled him. The woman stepped forward slowly, her voice steady. "Do you see now?" she asked. "This is what you are becoming." Daniel turned to her, his eyes blazing. "I saved them," he growled. "I destroyed their enemy." She shook her head, her voice colder. "No, Daniel, you destroyed without mercy. You destroyed because it pleased the serum inside you." Her words stabbed deeper than the alien weapons. Daniel looked at his hands, still glowing, trembling. For a moment, he saw not his hands, but claws, alien, monstrous. He blinked, and they were human again, but the fear remained. The soldiers behind him murmured. One said, "He's too strong." Another whispered, "He's not human anymore." Their voices cut him worse than any blade. He turned to face them, his chest heavy. "I am still Daniel," he said, his voice shaking. "I fight for Earth for all of you." But their eyes told him the truth. They no longer believed. Above, the alien mothership moved closer, its shadow swallowing the battlefield. It was massive, larger than any city Daniel had ever seen. Its engines roared like thunder. Its weapons glowed brighter than suns. The woman looked up, her face pale. "This is only the beginning," she whispered. Daniel clenched his fists, staring at the descending giant. "Then let it begin," he said. The ground trembled as the mothership opened its core, a swirling, red light gathering like the heart of a star. The woman's eyes widened, her voice sharp. "They are not here to destroy us, Daniel. They are here for you." Her words struck him like fire. The aliens were not trying to erase Earth. Not yet. They wanted him. The serum inside him was their creation, their weapon, and now they had come to claim it. Daniel's body shook with rage, his glow rising like a storm. "No," he roared, his voice echoing across the ruins. "I will never belong to them." The whispers inside him screamed, some in rage, some in laughter. The human soldiers huddled behind rubble, staring in terror at both the ship and the man glowing like a god. The woman stepped close, her voice low and grim. "You cannot fight them alone, and you cannot fight yourself forever." Daniel's eyes burned brighter, his fists trembling. "With fire, I don't care," he growled. "I will fight everything. I will fight them. I will fight this hunger. I will fight until nothing is left." The mothership's light grew stronger, casting the battlefield in red fire. "The woman," whispered one last time, her words heavy with fate. "Then your war has only begun." Daniel raised his hands, fire pouring from his veins. The battlefield roared with energy. The soldiers shielded their faces from the blinding light. The mothership descended, its shadow swallowing the ruins. Daniel's voice thundered across the earth. "I am Daniel," he roared, "and I will never bow." The screen of light split the night sky. The whisper screamed. The soldiers cried out. And in that moment, the world stood on the edge of something new. A savior or a monster. A soldier or a god. The war had not ended. It had only begun.